Hi, Steve and Caleb from Brownells, and today we're going to take a look at the 5 top mistakes people make when they're building their first AR or their 50th AR.
Yeah, or their 100th AR.
Yeah.
And we're saying top 5 here. There's way more than 5, but these are, like Steve said, the top 5. So let's just kind of jump right into it.
Yeah.
So mistake number 1 is probably the worst one you can make, and it's breaking. Don't look too surprised. It's breaking this ear off on this trigger guard, Steve.
Oh.
Because, I mean, once you did that, your lower's toast.
Yeah.
So let's talk about why that happens. So on your trigger guard here, if I have one, I do. Hey, look at me. So when you put your trigger guard on, you got to drive a roll pin into that hole in the back right here.
And sometimes they're really tight.
Yes, they are. And it doesn't help to, I mean, it does help. I'm getting my words mixed up here. It does help to put a little bit of lubricant on there when you're driving that roll pin through.
Yeah.
But the big thing is making sure the bottom is properly supported, okay? Because when you're driving in from one side, and it can go in either side, once that roll pin reaches that bottom ear, it puts a lot of stress on it, and it can just snap it right off.
And make sure the trigger guard's in place when you start the pin, too. Don't wait till it's partially in because you're stressing that top ear.
Yep. So that's number 1.
I've seen those broken off.
I've never done it, fortunately, knock on wood, right?
I've not.
But I've seen it with my own 2 eyeballs. I've watched it happen, and the reaction's never good, ever.
Right.
So
think first, pound second.
get your minds out the gutter.
On to number 2.
Okay, yeah, number 2 is the bolt catch pin scratch.
Oh, yes.
See that all the time, especially on the new builder stuff. There's and on this particular lower here, this is my personal one. There's a Brownells logo right where that scratch would be. And you don't want to listen. Ain't nobody need scratches on Brownells logos, okay? We gotta keep that fresh.
Yeah. So use the right punch for that.
There's a company, I can't think of their name right now. They make a punch specifically for that, so you don't put a scratch there. Oh yeah, we do. We make the punch. So buy the punch. It will save you. I use it every single time.
Yeah, the 308s went with a screw there, and that was a good idea.
So,
actually,
fun fact: this one I'm showing actually has a screw.
Who makes that one?
Brownells. We just had this whole.
Oh man!
You got to excuse Steve. He just got here.
Just got back from SHOT Show.
We did. We just got back from SHOT Show. Depending on when you're watching this, so that we're gonna use that as an excuse for the quality of this video. But we're gonna keep on trucking.
Look, I was feigning surprise because I'm working on my acting career.
Well, you did great, Steve.
Thanks.
You're going to be the next, whatever. I'm trying to think of the name of an old actor.
Somebody that's forgotten. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I'll be the next one.
All right. Let's move on. So the next one is the hammer spring on backwards.
Oh, I'm so guilty of that.
Yeah,
About every other build, I put it on wrong.
I've done it once in my early days, or twice, or yeah, I've done it before, so it's okay. But don't do it. So what happens? Or let me just show you what it looks like here. This is what it's supposed to look like. This is your brain. This is your brain on crack.
Yeah. Notice how the coils are the wrong way.
Yeah.
You're unwinding the spring as you torsion it to cock the hammer.
So that will definitely give you some light strikes. If you take your AR out to the range and you're like, man, I'm getting a lot of light strikes.
Yeah. It'll sort of work, but it'll function check and everything, but not good.
And pay no attention to the little notch on that. This is a machine gun hammer. But yeah, look at the springs. Springs are what we're talking about here. So yeah, that's another big easy one to make, and
a lot of people do it, and I've done it.
Yeah, and if you're building a gun you want to trust your life on, you need to make sure you're doing it right and not like this. So
agreed.
That brings us up to another hammer spring related one.
Oh.
And that is whenever you have the hammer spring on correctly, however, you have it underneath the, I'm doing that language. I know what I'm doing. Hey,
see how
listen,
easy it is?
You have it underneath your trigger pin.
Right. And why is that a problem to have that leg underneath the pin?
That is a problem because if you notice, not that pin.
All these pins have little
There's grooves
cut in.
So I'll come up here for viewing purposes here. There's grooves cut in this pin, and your hammer spring needs to sit on top of this pin because your hammer spring is what keeps this pin in.
It's your pin retainer.
It is. So if your hammer springs are underneath this pin, they're tensioned against the receiver, and they're not holding this pin in. So as you're shooting, this pin's going to walk out.
Right. And that center groove is for the hammer, which has a built-in spring that acts as a retainer if you've never put an AR together before.
Yeah. So there you have it.
That's why they don't walk out when you're shooting.
That's why they don't walk out. And this goes for pretty much any trigger that's not a cassette-style drop-in trigger. Those usually use some form of anti-walk or anti-rotation pin.
Yeah.
But if you're using any other like two-piece trigger, then this is very, very essential. Again, not something you want to trust your life to if you didn't do it correctly, because if the pin starts to walk out, then you're going to have a dead trigger.
You'll know right away.
Yeah, oh yeah. You'll know. And number 5.
We're there already.
Number 5, man. We're here. This was a great journey, and it's coming to an end. But that's got to be use the right tools. This is you would think a no-brainer, but you see a lot of things done in a lot of weird ways, and like using channel locks on that barrel nut or castle nut, and it's easy to see when even if you take a rag or something and wrap it around there, and you're just like, I'm just gonna
old belt if you're lucky.
I'm just gonna get on it and then put the listen, the right tools aren't that expensive, okay?
And if you can't torque your barrel nut far enough to get the notch out of the way, you got to grind off the notch to make room for your gas tube.
Yeah, that's a whole
Gets
thing.
ugly.
And I know like gunsmithing in the South, because like the redneck ingenuity.
No, come on now.
Listen, there's
It's all over.
There's a pride in the redneck ingenuity, and it's like, I don't care what it looks like, I just want it to work. That's my redneck accent, in case you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
If you say so. So yeah, you can always tell there's teeth marks in the castle nut, the barrel nut, whatever. It doesn't look good, and to say like, oh, it doesn't matter because it's just cosmetic. No, it's not, because anytime you see raw metal, that protective coating is gone, and it can corrode. So it's not just cosmetic.
I would almost swear that those marks are invisible to the person that puts them in.
It's
like they don't see them.
It's like, yeah, I built this thing. It looks great. I took her gerbs, and then they're so proud of it, and it's like, man, listen.
Don't be that guy.
When I see that, I don't make fun of the person. I do what I can to help them. I'm like, listen, let me embrace you to my bosom, and we will do this together. And we try to get the problem rectified.
It's no worse than my carpentry skills.
Yeah, Steve.
That's pretty nasty there.
This guy, he's actually pretty good. He's being modest. He's got it going on. But that's it. We did it. Made
That's
it through.
5 big no-nos for the AR-15 build.
Yeah.
And most of us are guilty.
Listen, we're not immune to this guilt. Okay, we feel it deep down in our souls. But it's not that you made the mistake. It's what you do to correct a mistake.
Right.
So.
Right. So when you see me putting on a muzzle device with a crescent wrench, just please look the other way.
Or I'll just hand you the right tool and we'll delete the footage.
Even better.
There we go.
If you've got some good horror stories about building ARs, please let us know in the comments. We'd like to hear from you. In the meantime, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and we will see you next time when we bring you yet another edition of AR-15 Building Comedy.